Now. Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Uh, as you all know, اليوم في عنا introductory piano lesson مع Marc Anlian. I don't know how to pronounce your last name صراحة.
Yeah, you got it right.
Okay. My name is Karim. I'm the president of the music club LAU Music. And this will be the first session from a series of events that we're having اللي هي a series of learning music events. اليوم حنكون piano. Next week we're gonna do guitar sessions. The week after المفروض if all goes well we're gonna be doing vocal lessons, and subsequently بنشوف how everything goes. We hope you enjoy these sessions, you make use of them like actually تستفيدوا. Thank you for Marc for doing this. He's a member of the music club عنا, I'll leave it to him to introduce himself. This session is going to be recorded. It's going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel for anyone to see. وإذا حدا بده ال physical copy, I can also send him a Google Drive link. I guess that's all I have to say for now. مثل ما كنا عم نقول, إذا you don't see the chat with everyone option, please send the chat privately to Marc على his phone. You can send it to me, بس إنه بصير أنا بدي أرجع أحول لمايك, فإتس better إذا دغري بتبعتوا له إياها. And yeah, we hope you enjoy. Take it away, Marc.
Okay, so thank you for your introduction, Karim. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you guys. أول شيء thank you لكل واحد منكم اللي عم يعطي وقت لهالشيء. I want to say that the piano is something huge for me. I'm a classically trained pianist. I've been playing for 10 years. I have a diploma. Hopefully, I'm applying for my end of studies diploma من هون لشي سنتين إن شاء الله أو سنة ونص حسب قديش رح لحق أتمرن لأنه pharmacy is not easy. But yeah, here goes for me. And I'm projecting to apply to London as well to get a piano performance degree هنيك. The piano is quite something for me. This being said, this is the first piano lesson, so the first lesson in an introductory set of lessons for different instruments. ما راح أعيد ورا كريم. So my program for this lesson is that I want to focus on three different things. يلي هن, I want to give you an introduction to the piano, so what it can do as an instrument, وكيف بينلعب البيانو, what's the mechanism when you play the piano, and how to sit at the piano, how to position your fingers, and this kind of stuff. I'm going to give notes on basic theory. I won't get too much into the details, but music theory is the science behind music. So why things make sense on a musical basis. فهيدي شغلة كمان بدي شوي احكيكم فيها. كمان ما راح فوت بتفاصيلها لأنه I'll keep this at a surface level. But for anyone who's ready to take this to a further step, I'm definitely going to be present for that as well. More on that at the end of the presentation. And I also, for the end of the presentation, walk you through genres and a bit of notes on interpretation. For this part, I'll be playing various, like, إذا بدكم مقاطع من كذا pieces, in كذا styles, تاخدوا فكرة قديش the piano diverse instrument capable of doing so much. So here goes for me. And okay, so I'll just make sure that the slides are working in parallel with the phone as well. So here I'm just telling you that you can open this website, pianu.com, or any virtual keyboard website. So there's also virtualpiano.net or any website. That is, if you want to have a keyboard in front of you, that makes it easier while I'm explaining to look at the keyboard, even mess with it if you want. So here goes for this. And I'm going to start with my introduction to the piano. So first thing first, I want to show you the piano when you open it as well, because too often we only see the piano in its closed form. So let me just move that to this one. Here we have the piano, and we can open it. Okay, guys, so I'm sorry for the delay, but yeah, that's how the piano would look once it's opened. Let me make sure that it's visible in the camera. You can see the different keys here, like you have those different things that you can press on the piano. So I'm just going to give you an example by touching one note, but let me check my messages. Okay, so look, if I press a key here, you can see that it hits in the middle here. Wait, let me try to open my cam from the phone if it makes it easier as well. Okay, can you see the camera from the phone? It's probably closer to the camera. So if you can see it, if I click, press the key here, the mechanism gets activated here. So the piano is a keyboard instrument for this reason. You press a key on the board and you get a sound. And when you play the piano, you're pressing different keys at different times, sometimes together as well, and you're producing those sounds. And it makes sense, even like the brain processes them at different frequencies and produces the music that we enjoy and like. So that's how it works overall. When you sit down at the piano, so to make sure that I'm visible here, so when you sit down, دايما بدكم تقعدوا وتجلسوا ظهركم, so straighten your back, and once you sit at it, your feet must touch the ground as well. So هلا مبين من ورا. You must be seated properly. Don't raise your
Mark,
shoulders too much, but don't. Yeah.
إذا بدك
كريم قلت لي
حط
شيء.
اللابتوب حد like in parallel إلك حد البيانو. Like we can see your posture.
Yeah. هلا.
And guys, if you're sitting on a chair, try to replicate his posture كمان, or the way he's positioning himself.
So exactly قاعدتي بتكون جالسة بس بنفس الوقت like مش شائل لورا. So definitely not like that, but definitely don't lean on it. Like قعدوا جالسين broaden your shoulders, but don't raise them too much. And then for your fingers, don't stick them flat on the piano. بعرف إذا مبينين my fingers on the piano. Play the piano with flat fingers on the piano. You must like raise them a little وهيك إنه imagine that it's a natural movement. So that's for the sitting, the fact that essential things. Another thing is that the piano as we know it is the evolution of so many other products of history. إذا سامعين بالكلافسين بالفرنسي, so in English it's called harpsichord. It has evolved a lot from this definition as a harpsichord to become the piano it is today. Today we even have pedals on the piano. Let me show you on the pedals as well. I'll use my camera from the phone for this. So I don't know if you've ever wondered about what the different pedals do. Sometimes some piano have 3 pedals, sometimes they have 2 pedals. So it depends on the make and the piano itself. My piano has 3 pedals. The first one is usually not too important, but if you press it, the sound becomes a bit softer. Now the second one is practical when I want to practice. Let me show you here. لما بدي كابس the second pedal here, the middle, I can see في هيدي الشغلة مثل الشرشف بالميكانيزم تبع البيانو فيها تنشقل لفوق كان فيها توطة. So when I press the pedal, توطة, and then the keys are tapping against هالشرشف على the strings. So the sound becomes much, much weaker, and it's useful if you want to play what بيكون في مثلا إنه ما تعملوا ضجة. So I use it when I want to practice late at night. The sound becomes much weaker. وما بزعج الجيران وهيك. Then there's the third pedal. The third pedal is the one that is هيك musical and has musical relevance. The third pedal is the one on the right. You can see it from my phone, I hope. So when I press it, I'll show you what happens. So again, concerning the mechanism, بتضلكم كابسينها وعندكم مثل هول الاشياء that get إذا بدكم يرجعوا لورا شوي. So if I don't press, they're sticked to the chord, and once I release the key, that's it. So once I press the pedal, play the note, and then وإيدي بطلت على الكي, but the sound is still there. So that's called the sustain pedal. It allows us to sustain the sound. And that's something you don't get in a keyboard. And that's, or actually you don't usually get it on a keyboard. That's a huge difference between an actual piano and a keyboard. And that's why it's very important to have a piano if you want to progress as a classically trained musician. هلا بتقولوا لي your goal is to play songs and you don't really care about the classical music stuff, you can definitely do it on a keyboard. And if you want to play in a band and play for a band and just learn to play chords and progressions, then you don't need to have a classical piano. But if you want to get serious about it and maybe get degrees about it, you might need to have a real piano for that stuff. Now, piano as itself is a word that is short for pianoforte because it can play softly, which is piano, and then it can play forcefully if you touch it with more force. So it depends on how you touch it with your fingers. إنه فينا ننزل خبيط فيها وفينا نلعب على رواق فيها. So yeah, that adds to its richness as an instrument. Now I'll walk you through the piano as a layout itself. You can see here that I've zoomed for you a picture. If you have opened the virtual keyboard website, you can replicate this part عندكم. فتشوفوا you have two black keys بيجوا حد بعض وبعدين 3 black keys كمان حد بعض. They are separated by 2 white keys. I don't know if you can see it on the pattern, but this pattern that you have, so let me use my phone's camera as well for this. So you can see it on my piano. So you have this pattern here. So the 3 white keys separated 2 white keys. هون عنا 2 black و 3 black. 2 black, 3 black. So this pattern repeats itself all over the piano من أوله لآخره. It means, the notes that reproduce this pattern keep the same names, and it's important once you want to get initiated to playing, because I can say do, which is C, and it can be here, but it can also be here because that's the same note by the pattern, and it could be here. So the higher and to the right you go to the piano, and on your virtual keyboards you can try it as well. كل ما رحتوا لفوق ولليمين كل ما the sound becomes higher pitched, and كل ما رحتوا لتحت ولورا the sound becomes deeper and more like a bass-like sound, and it no longer becomes high pitched, it becomes low pitched. Okay, so I'm seeing that new people are joining the session. That makes me glad. So hi للكل. Yeah, so I'll repeat just quickly. So here you have the pattern. So 2 black keys and 3 black keys حد بعض 2 3 2 3 etc. and so on and so forth. وتحتهم عم نشتغل على الوايت كيز. هلا رح تقولوا لي شو بيعملوا البلاك keys. If I want to play the notes in succession, you can hear that the black keys are kind of slided between 2 white notes. So if you have here and then the sound next to it, so I'm playing a C followed by a D, you would have this note which is between the C and the D. هلا ما راح فوت بتفاصيل وكيف بنسمي the black keys for the moment because you don't really need this knowledge for an introductory piano lesson. I could go on deeper about it if you want to ask for later. I see that I have in the chat someone who already knows a bit about music. So yeah, they're called sharps. They could also be called flats. So they have 2 names actually. هلا إذا بدكم أشرحها بسرعة. Here we have C, and here we have D. So what would you call the note in the middle? It's both C and D, but it's a C sharp because the sharp goes like higher than the original note. So it could be C and then C sharp, or the other name for it would be D flat. And I see Noor has answered that. Thank you for your contributions, Noor, because that's correct indeed. So it could be a C sharp or a D flat. And the same logic applies for the other black keys on the keyboard as well. As an introduction, I usually don't, or rather, for my new coming students, I usually don't give them pieces that involve the black keys so that I don't confuse them. So they just stick to the name of 7 notes and then we branch out. So that's how I work with my newest students, and I'm going to treat you as such. هلا students بمعنى الحكي هلا انتوا رفقاتي اكثر من students. انا بعمركم بالاخر, but yeah. as to not dwell too much onto this, I'll move on to the next slide, which tackles some principles of basic music theory. So for basic music theory, I want to explain why it's important. لأنه usually when I say theory or people say theory, they feel like it's a science or something. إنه if عجقناها, إنه why is it not just like we're just playing and having fun? And definitely, the last point I've written on this slide is that music theory is sufficient to play correctly, but it's a foil to emotions. So it's not enough. And emotions are more important even in correct playing. And I have two friends وهن عكس بعض they're playing نهائيا. Like one of my friends is such a technician about the piano. Like the way she plays is so
Okay, guys, we're experiencing what I might call.
شكله قلب.
Yeah.
يا غريب هلا مش وقت قطع كهرباء.
Okay, and so you're connected to 3G كأنك, so that's good.
مبينين السلايدز عندكم؟
باينين slides.
Okay, deal. So the UPS worked, alhamdulillah. So yeah, as I'm saying, concerning concerning music theory, it's the essential knowledge that you want to have the deeper you go. And this is why I say it's easy to get into, but it becomes infinitely complex to master. And I'm definitely not at a stage where I mastered it, but I definitely know a lot about it by now as well. It's a continuous learning process. بضلني اتعلم اشياء جديدة, progressions جديدة, معلومات جديدة. It's not like I know everything, and it's not like I will ever reach a point where I know everything. Okay. And the most important point about music theory itself is that it is applied everywhere around our favorite songs and even our favorite classical pieces. Well, I'll be supplying examples for that. So hold on, it's a bit of the theoretical part. I'll be playing for you as well. It's not like إنه رح قاعد أحكي كل الوقت. One more thing that concerns the theory of things is that this is how a music sheet would look like. And this is my position as if I'm seated to the piano. So on the piano, you would see that you have like this handle here that it can be folded and you can use it to place a sheet on it. So here we go, the sheet. هلا فتحت the sheet ما راح تبقى جالسة. But yeah, so again, about sheet music, you guys would tell me that should I learn how to read a sheet music early on? And that's actually a good question. I get asked this question a lot, like, does it matter ولا لا? The answer, honestly, it does matter. هلا, it's not essential to know to read a sheet music to play the piano. A lot of people are prodigies and they start playing قبل ما يعرفوا sheet, but it's certainly about the sheet musics. What happened? It seems like my slides stopped shared. Okay, we're back at it. So just to make sure. It's essential to know reading the sheets once you get serious about it. But if you just want to play for a band or play for fun, you can definitely pick up songs and learn them on YouTube tutorials, even كل شيء. But once you know how to read and interpret a sheet, it will make the learning process itself easier. And that could be said about a lot of things. لأنه هلا تتعلم وتقرأ sheet, that's pretty much a framework for learning to read other sheets. So it's as if I'm telling you انه بدكم تتعلموا the table of multiplication in math. You can learn the different results من دون ما تتعلموا the rule. وساعتها اذا عندكم رقم جديد ما بتعرفوا تعملوه، بس اذا بتتعلموا الرول بتصيروا تعرفوا تطبقوها على كذا pieces، على كذا ارقام، على كذا وكذا. So learning the rules behind things definitely makes it easier and more intuitive to get into it. If not a bit boring sometimes, I realize that, but definitely interesting once you open your mind to it. For the note names, I'm also not expecting you guys تحفظون هلا. That would mean that I have to get into the keys. So I've just added this for the show. Here you have the symbol that precedes the notes. So you can see that, for example, where I've hovered my mouse here, there's the F. The symbol that's right before it is called the clef. So it's the key in which you are reading. Once you have a sheet music, reading it according to a certain language. So it's as if it's English or Arabic or whatever. So the key determines the language in other terms. That's pretty much it, and I won't be dwelling on part for too long. Here we have, if you want, more interesting, the one about note values. Now, a note is the sum of both its name and its value. And the value of the note depends on the shape it takes when it is written in the sheet. هلا راح فرجيكم an actual sheet that is bigger than that, where you have more shapes. So it was the one that I was playing a few moments earlier. It's the one that is like right on my piano. You can see it, I guess. So you can see here that we have notes موصولين ببعض. هون we have like this shape where there are two notes beamed together. We have like a black note standing alone. We have this round note. So the different values get counted differently. If I want to play the example that is in the slide, I would play it like that. So we have Mi, Sol, so E, G, G, but the second G we're going to count it twice because it's a white note. هلا ما راح أقول لكم كل note شو بتكون value. That I leave it for later lessons, but that's just to give you an idea that there are different values to it. So C, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So definitely you're going to account for the different values of a note when you are playing, and it adds the rhythmic component. I'll get into the rhythmic component as well right now. So there are two more things that I want to dwell on about music theory, and then I'll get to the playing and the more interesting parts maybe. So concerning melody and harmony, sometimes العالم بيخربطوا الكلمات بيقولون اثنيناتهم انه as if they are interchangeable when in fact they are not. So melody شيء وharmony شيء تاني. So a melody is a set of notes that we are playing ورا بعضهم. طالما a harmony is a set of notes we are playing together. So I could be playing. This is a melody because I've just played them ورا بعضهم. The same notes إذا بكبسهم كلهم سوا, it produces a different kind of sound. Like the sound becomes richer لأنه لوحده بس ما فيه إنه تتالي نوتات. So it's not successive notes. It's not a melody because you're just playing one block of notes as opposed to playing. And notice how my fingers are not flat on the piano. I'm not playing like that because it simply doesn't work once you want to go fast. So that's why our fingers have to be slightly raised. Again, not too much, but like just enough. So I'll get into melody and harmony more in details. And that's a song I've prepared, or rather Heke, for the show. That's actually my girlfriend's favorite song, which is why it's in here. So I'll just put the sheet as well on my piano and like just briefly play it to illustrate my point on melody and harmony. I'm going to play the harmony, the melody without the harmony. And I'm just going to play what you listen to. So the thing that is, the song part of the piece. So. So you can hear that it's just a succession of notes ورا بعضهم. Once you start adding the fact that you can play different notes مع بعضهم, you add the harmonic component to it, it sounds a bit different. So you can already hear the difference because هون وزتنا different إذا بدكم كمان pitches. So it goes in the bass line as well, and then we have middle notes. So instead of just playing, we went and added. So you can see that the more notes you add, بس أكيد بطريقة ذكية, the richer the sounds become. And this is the difference between melody and harmony. In the slide before, I was also writing that harmony completes melody, and I have added an example that is kind of a nod to my pharmacy friends. So harmony supports melody the same way that in the body supports the function. So إذا بدنا نحكي ميلودي لوحدها حلوة بس إنه لوحدها ما إلها إنه هالقيمة. Harmony بتشقل قيمة الميلودي. Once they are played together, it becomes so much nicer and richer and produces a more powerful sound. Another example that is هيك classical and not a song would be this Chopin pieces. I'm just going to play it. Let me set the laptop in a way that shows my fingers as well. So هلا نزلت اللابتوب. I hope you can see my fingers on the piano here. I guess إنه هلا بتقشعوا منيح. So if I want to play, let me check the chat. Okay, so thank you for confirming that you can see it. If I play this, it sounds like it's just هيك شيء هيك قطع a melody that could be calm even, but once it's supported by its harmony, it can become something completely different. So we can take it and twist it, and it becomes something like that once you add the harmony that the composer wrote for it. It's definitely different. It's definitely feeling more powerful because فيها النوتات اللي عم ينلعبوا مع بعض. Again, for the scientific component of things, the brain processes the different notes that are being played together, and it just like adds them together, and it becomes nice to the brain. So those different sound waves get added together in terms of frequency, and the result is that I like what I'm hearing. So yeah, once you add the harmony, it definitely becomes richer. And one more thing I want to show you. The same melody, you can twist it and play the harmony differently. يعني بدل ما نزلهم سقطهم بلوكات ورا بعض مثل ما هلا عملت، في خليها تتنفس وتصير حتى انه a song that you could dance to, a valse even. So once I decide to change the way I'm playing the harmony, it can take so many different shapes and become a completely different spirit in terms of piece. And that's how rhythm, harmony, and melody contribute together إذا بدكم بشكل إنه the music becomes formed. And that's it for music theory. I won't dwell on more details for music theory. للي بده يتعلم أكثر, I will make myself available.
Okay, guys.
The last
Sorry, Marc,
yeah.
but guys, does anyone have a question? Is everything okay? We covered a bunch of ground, so if everyone's okay, we can continue. If someone has a question, we'll answer.
Okay, so Noor, I can read that you're here for the music theory part. If you want to go into more details, لأنه I've noticed that you know what a sharp and a flat is, so you probably have an idea of playing the piano. إذا بدك نقدر نتحكى سوا بعدين if you want to go into more details. That's what I'll keep as a take-home message for you guys, that there are so many components that play together to produce the music. You're a guy. I'm sorry about that. Sorry for assuming. هلا ايه نور بينعطى اسم شباب وبنات كمان. Most of the Noors I know are girls. That's why I assumed. Sorry. Okay, let me check my private messages بسرعة. Thank you for. Okay, so here goes. I have no question. Thank you for your encouragements. I'll tackle the last part of this presentation, and this is the part where I'll be supplying more melodic examples. And I've also slided a few jokes in the slides so that I can maybe get your smiles, I hope. So for different genres and interpretation, there's this quote I've added on the screen, and that's something I say to my friends and to everyone I know. For music, diversity is its most consistently maintained characteristic. So عن جد, music would be nothing without the diversity part in it. And I'm going to start with the Baroque era, because it's the first era that comes in the chronological order. It starts around 1600 to 1750. You have this funny guy in the picture. This is J.S. Bach. He's probably the most famous composer of Baroque era keyboard music. He used to write his music on a harpsichord. On an unrelated note, I love how his hair looks in the picture. Imagine إذا هلا من أيامنا هيك بيكون شعرنا. Like عن جد, it keeps bugging me how they used to have such hair من قبل, like, what a hairstyle, man. So I've displayed for you this piece, which is a piece I'm currently practicing for my diploma, so it's considered to be of this level. I'm going to play it very briefly, but I want you to focus on something. I don't expect you to be able to follow what is in the sheet if you don't know how to read sheet musics, and that's absolutely fine. I just pull the sheet for it عندي, and بدي ألعب لكم مقطع to highlight the few things that are interesting in Baroque music writing. So what makes it different than other things? And you will see that a lot of what we have learned in the Baroque is inherited even up to date. So شغلة انعملت بال 1600 for it to still have its influence لحد اليوم. It's amazing, honestly. So let me play, and here goes. So here goes for the first 3 lines of this piece. I hope that you have noticed something, which is in the way that the 2 red rectangles I've highlighted in the sheet music are handled. So عنا this. This is being repeated all over the piece, and that's characteristic of the way that things were written بأيام لباخ. So the way that we are playing this passage عم يرجع يتكرر هون. But it's just higher. So instead of starting on this note, it is starting on the note next to it. And then it's repeated one more time تحت. So I hope you can see it the way I do. And once you understand, if you want, the theory behind this kind of writing, it becomes much easier to pick up and learn the piece. I've learned this piece in about 2 days. I was able to play it pretty well, just because I understand the way it is written. And before this understanding, I used to struggle with Bach because he's considered to be like the boring إذا بدكم composer لأنه دقاته ما فيهم حماس usually. But once you understand the way that things are written, they become so much more interesting. I hope that this sounds a bit clearer to you, like you can see it maybe for some of you. So that goes for Baroque. It was a style that searches إذا بدكم for complexity of writing. We call these voices. So we have this voice, and then once we play here, we can hear 2 voices ماشيين حد بعضهم يعني تخيلوهم عم بيغنوا. That's what it was about. So in this era, we have a lot of إذا بدكم كورال كانوا بينكتبوا هيك. So if some of you sing in choirs or have taken singing lessons, you might have taken about voices and people who sing together in duet and such and such. So sometimes in our favorite pop songs عندنا نفس المبدأ إنه لما شاب وبنت عم بيغنوا مع بعض مثلا بتلاقوهم عم بيغنوا بشكل إنه they are walking through the same line maybe, but the girl higher than the boy, or they are walking through similar lines that meet at some point. So that's something we have inherited from this style. However, this style is a bit out of fashion. The next style that comes after it is definitely more familiar to us. And the next style that comes right after it is called the classical style. هلا السلايد المبينة عندكم. So in the classical slide here in the picture we have Mozart. أكيد كلكم سامعين عن موزار وموزار وكان بيدق على عمر الأربع سنين و he was a prodigy وشو بعرفني. هلا طلعوا لي بشكله ولد the funniest thing is how his feet aren't even touching the ground. Like imagine إنه what I've written in the slide is actually so true. Like when I was 4 كنت صرخ بالفنتيلاتور تسمع إنه صوتي بردته metallic. So it's mad to see how people have this kind of potential for writing the piano من هالقد عبكير. Like he's a prodigy. هيدي ما فيها اثنين يحكوا فيها. But Mozart is personally one of the composers that bore me a little. But it's not like I don't like his music. I just find him less interesting sometimes. Let me pull على messages just to make sure إنه ما في questions. Yeah, Noor, for Schubert, now Schubert is considered a romantic composer, and I'll get to Schubert's stuff in the next slide as a romantic composer. So for the classical composers, we have Mozart, we have Haydn, we have Beethoven. هلا Beethoven في نقاش إذا بده ينعاد romantic ولا classical, and he was exactly in the middle. هلا for classical pieces, I don't have Mozart examples to really play except for this one. I don't know إذا أنتوا كمان بالمدرسة كانوا يحطوا جرس للصف وكنتوا تسمعوا موسيقى كلاسيك بهالجرس بس نحن I'm going to play the theme of جرس المدرسة عنا. So it used to go like that. So excuse me for the lag. حسيت لأنه الإنترنت كان عم يقطش شوي. هلا المهم you can hear that classical music is هيك very elegant and it's much simpler than baroque music. Two voices you want to keep up with وإنه تتأكدوا إنه ماشيين بتناسق مع بعض وهيك. So it's pretty much like here a melody and harmony below it in the most traditional way possible. So the melody would go. And then we have the supporting harmony اللي تحتها which makes it so much more nice to hear إذا بدكم. So here goes, it's that simplistic إذا بدكم. So classical music is definitely something that we have inherited about a lot in the way that we approach writing pop songs من أيامنا. كل الأغاني اللي بتتسمعوا عليهم إن كان على شو بعرفني سبوتيفاي أنغامي all your applications YouTube. So all the songs that you listen to حيلا غنية it applies some of those principles. There is always a melody that the singer is singing وفي instrumental وراه عم يلعب له harmony تيشقل له الميوزك لأنه بلاها تطلع ضعيفة إنه only his voice. So it's always a melody and the harmony that walk together and even the progressions are similar to each other. So if I want to take back my girlfriend's favorite song and show what I'm talking about, so it would go like. So here we have like the first few measures of it. The chord progression is very clear. It goes and then. Why? Because it started here. So if you decide to forget about the melody and just look at the harmony. So exactly, every you can see featured in the Music Club's weekly playlist will follow the same formula إذا بدكم. هلا حقه to promote the playlist لأنه بنتعب فيهم نحن وإنه they are really nice playlists. So here goes, like عن جد, if you want more details about this, احكوني اسالوني عن your favorite song وبرجع بقول لكم شو الباترنز اللي عم تلحقها وانه I'll illustrate that with your favorite songs guys if you want as well. I'm doing this تقربها شوي عليكم لأنه sometimes the word of classical music feels هيك إنه بعيد عنا إنه if classical music شو هالشغلة إنه مش لإلي أو إنه I'm not into it بما إنه so much of its principles are applied today. فتخيلوا شيء كان present بال 1730 عم بيتطبق اليوم. So here goes. Next, in the eras that I'm tackling with you in this presentation, we have the Romantic era, Isabatkun. The Romantic era is my favorite era, personally. It's the era of Isabatkun drama, the era of where we write things that sound very emotional and grandiose. In the picture we have Chopin. على الأرجح إذا سامعين بموزار كمان سامعين بشوبان ما بعرف. هلا Chopin is personally the composer I load in my playlist when I'm studying at 2 a.m. and things are very tough لأنه موسيقته بتروقني. Like that's true for me. بتروق كذا ناس بتفش الخلق أوقات حتى. Romantic music is characterized by this burst of emotions. The way it is played is that it combines sadness, happiness, anger, different emotions that are all portrayed in the same pieces. And that makes it like very interesting on so many levels. If I want to pull a romantic piece from my repertoire that I'm practicing here, I'm going to pull a calm piece. So the mood in this piece is very هيك انه contemplative ومثل berceuse عشوائي انه بتغفل. So that's the first line. هلا the first line بدي اوصل على the last line of the first page تفرجيكم what a mood shift it can provoke. So نحن جايين من هون. like سامعينها قديش رايقة. And then فجأة شو بيجي بيكتب لي the composer, and when I saw it I was like holy you definitely didn't write that. So من بعد هالمقطع in the next page بياخدني على شيء كليا تاني. If I go on with this بلشنا بشيء هيك رايق وانه بغفي بعد شوي بعدين فجأة we have this complete mood swing that goes from being calm to completely angry and even هيك كأنه بده يفش خلقه وبيوصل على محل ضياع انه The way I personally see it is that it's as if someone is screaming somewhere and عم بيسمع صدى على العالي انه romantic pieces tend to tell stories like that. That's how I approach them. Once you learn the story behind it, the playing becomes more intuitive. So that's true of most romantic pieces. That's a short one. فشو بتقولوا is that there are pieces that can go on and on like that for 30 minutes. The way I see them, complete stories. يعني كأني عم بسمع قصة. That's why I love this era so much. I don't want as well to overbloat it and make it sound like it's the best era in the world. The romantic era كمان لها انه اشياء انه سيئاتها انه sometimes it's too emotional and it doesn't feel sincere and انه sometimes هيك it's show off. يعني بعض الناس بيقولوا انه هيدا بيدق رومانتيك للشو اوف انه مش تيدق انه with precision, and this is kind of true لأنه the use of the pedal can هيك cover sometimes mistakes وهيك. That's something less important to or relevant to our lesson right now. One more thing, and the last era I'm going to tackle in this presentation is modernism. Modernism is a very broad area. it encompasses so many areas جواته that there is no defined style for it. But in modernism, this is where I tell people that classical music is not boring. يعني لهلا اللي بعده بيقول لي إن classical music is all the same and it all sounds like the same. This is such a far shot from the truth. هلا my friends in pharmacy أنا من قبل كنت بعت لهم a recording of myself playing a jazz piece. I just interpret the first few parts of it. Jazz is considered modernism, and there were composers كانوا بيكتبوا jazz بس for the piano. It involves a piano solo, so you can sound how jazzy this is if I play it. Okay, so you get the idea. So it goes. So the way that فيها حماس, it's such a far shot from calling it boring and calling the piano a boring instrument or an instrument that only plays calm stuff. Let me just catch up to my chats to make sure that. Okay, so I just noticed a joke, an inside joke between me and a friend, excuse me. And so yeah, I'm just making sure that you guys, I'm just making sure I'm answering people's concerns. Okay. So yeah, this is jazz, and then I can take you to something completely different that was only written like 5 years apart from the top. ما في هالقد فرق بيناتهم, but it's completely different. So what I just played was an American piece written in America in different circumstances. بالصورة عندكم on the slide Prokofiev. هلا this composer اوقات بيقولوا عنه انه كان كتير معصب بالدقات اللي بيكتبها وانه it's so angry for nothing, and I don't agree. بس his music قاسية منا للكل, يعني مش الكل بيتسمع على بروكوفيف. I'm personally the kind that does, and I like his music. It even sounds sarcastic sometimes and dry. يعني I will show you the extent of what you can cover with the piano. So you can hear that his music sounds like it's angry, as if قاعدين عم نخبط البيانو. So again, that's a completely different style. هلا why I say that Prokofiev didn't like Russia, that's true. لأنه in World War I he didn't agree with Stalin's ideologies. وستالين كان طالب منه يكتب له a symphony for the victory of Russia. He didn't accept. He wanted to exile himself in America لأنه ما كان طايق the war overall. So his music is filled with إذا بدكم هالanger وهالsarcasm towards his country and his attitude towards life لأنه هول الظروف اللي عاشها هو. So he's an avant-garde composer in the sense that his music was ahead of its time, and it was not, for everyone. وبرضه لليوم he doesn't have the appreciation he deserves. I mean, if I want to go on and on, I could go on and on forever. بس أنا ما رح طول عليكم شخصيا. I know that some of you want to study. I know that some of you made time for this, and I don't really want to use the full 1 hour 30. أنا كمان عندي درسة. ف I guess we can call it quit. I will play something though إنه لحقته جيته. For the people who are more interested, I left for you my email and my phone number on this slide. So take note if you want to hit me up, and if you want to discuss things in a deeper manner, if you want piano lessons, if you know people who want piano lessons. I'm a classically trained pianist. The way I give lessons might be different. That's something I'm proud of myself for, and I've had success in the past. هلا بالوقت الحاضر ما عم بعطي lessons لأنه جامعة, بس بالصيفية بعطي. So I have my full time in the summer for this. Now, this being said, you have my email, you have my phone number, and I was really glad that the presentation, as I can read your feedback in private chat for most, was enjoyable. So Noor, you're asking me, it's لا, +971 is just the country's code. فرقمي 71141425. No problem for the country code. And that will sum up my presentation. I hope that this was an efficient introduction for you for the piano. Like, I hope that now you have an idea that the piano is such a diverse instrument that can do so much, and you can take it, like you can do so much with the piano. من الآخر. You can play it the way you want, and the way that I approach it with my students is that usually I gauge them on their different playings وبعطيهم اشياء هيك كثير diverse تشوف انه قوية كل واحد اذا بدكم. after that, based on what they want out of the piano, I start tailoring specific programs توصلهم وين هن بدهم يوصلوا. هلا for the people ما بيعرفوا كثير حالهم وين بدهم يوصلوا, that's also not a problem. We'll figure that out eventually in the way. What I know is that picking up an instrument has so much benefits على الشخص. It's something that has helped me personally. Like it was my go-to to express my feelings when my words were not enough. So for me, the piano is definitely something that I dare say changed my life. This being said, I'm going to play one last thing قبل ما نفل. It's one of my favorite pieces. It's a romantic etude بالأحلى. So it's focused on technique, but I want to show you that things that are called etudes can also sound lovely. So I'll play this. It's Elite's etude. So here goes. So when I play this, I usually feel so good after playing it. I feel so good for myself because هيك بتروقني كتير هالدقة personally. It's got a winter-like quality to it even. I think I lagged ببعض المحلات للأسف. هيدا الإنترنت بالبلد. But yeah. So this being said, guys, I've played this to you and this would close my lesson. So I'm done for the night. You have my contact information and I'm really glad and thankful for you attending. It was a pleasure for me to give this. I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it. وإذا بتعرفوا ناس أو إذا أنتوا ناس بدها تتعلم the piano, I'm willing to like make time for it and give lessons. because time management is always of the essence. We can always figure out solutions. If you don't have a piano عندكم, you can always come to my place and practice on my piano if that's needed, but you will definitely need to get a keyboard at least and practice at the first stages. لأنه من دون تمرين بالبيت you wouldn't make progress, and that would be a waste of time for both of us if there is no real progress to it. And that sums it up for this introductory piano lesson. So thank you for attending, guys, and that's it. I'll now check the chats for your concerns.
Thank you, Marc. يعطيك العافية.
Thank you, Karim, and thank you every one of you who attended for making this possible.
Okay, guys, I think إذا حدا عنده شي questions we can answer them هلا. This whole session مثل ما قلت أول شي is being recorded. It's gonna be uploaded to our YouTube channel. We will send the link to everyone who registered. And even if you didn't register, you can go check out the LAU Music Club YouTube channel. We have هونيك playlist, the videos of some winners from last year's weekly Instagram competition, and the series of music lessons that we're going to be doing over the next month. So again, does anyone have any question?
So feel free to take the mic if you want as well, guys. I'm checking my DMs on my phone. I've answered my phone. Let me check for the laptop as well, in case حدا بعت لي باللابتوب. No. Okay, no, I don't think I have any message on the laptop. Okay, so seeing as you guys have no questions, you have my contact info anyways. أصلا my email is easy, and my phone number is in my email signature, so just shoot me an email إذا نسيته. And that's pretty much it, guys.
Mark, بس سؤال, is it 971 قصدك أو 961?
Wait, أنا كاتب 971? Yeah.
طيب
Hey,
guys.
it's 961 guys, it's 961. نحن بلبنان. أنا كنت عم فكر سبقت حالي لأن أنا رقمي ببلش 7-1. I was like 971. Yeah, لا, it's 961. It's 961, guys.
Okay.
So much for trying too hard to look professional, huh? So here goes.
Okay, thank you guys for attending.
It's your unconscious telling you to go to the UAE.
يا ريتنا بالUAE. شو عم تحكي؟ They definitely have a country مش مثلنا. Oops, I'm on YouTube. I'm not supposed to be political, but yeah, may YouTube hear this. All
Okay,
right,
well,
so
seeing as no one has any questions, you can now leave. Thank you guys for attending.
thank you guys. It was really nice having you.